Hi, my name is TJ. My dad died of overdose on January 1st, 2011, and my mom is a recovering addict. God helped my mom, and now together we are here to help you. Now let's talk recovery. Here's your host, my mom, Susan Sexton-Wood.
Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk Recovery. I am your host, Susan Sexton-Wood. Today, our guest is Heather Filby. She is a loved one of an addict and an advocate in her community, and I want to welcome her to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
The first thing that I normally ask people to do is just share about themselves.
Okay. Well, as she said, my name is Heather Filby. I'm a mom of 3 wonderful children. I have a 15-year-old boy, an 11-year-old girl, and a 5-year-old girl. And you think about all the things that you have to teach your kids, and one thing that we stress so much in my household nowadays is don't do drugs. You know, I'm constantly drilling that in their heads. You know, even my 5-year-old, she'll be like, why does everybody do drugs? Because I'm constantly saying how bad it is and stuff. And, you know, a long time ago, I wouldn't have thought that that would have been the main lesson I'm teaching, you know. Right. But now, I just want to make sure they know, don't do it. Don't do it.
Right. Well, the way that I met you was from a Facebook page and a group that you started. Would you share why you started that group? Like start at the beginning and then kind of what the group does now.
Sure. 4 years ago, I lost my cousin and his wife to a heroin overdose. And I brought this picture of them so everyone could see. I miss them every day. And after they had passed, I felt like I just kind of needed to do something. You know, I couldn't just let this be, you know, the way that it was. You know, they were gone and that's it. I started a Brian and Amanda Saving Souls from Heroin. And basically it's just a simple Facebook page that anyone can reach out and say, hey, where do I go from here? I'm looking to get, you know, help, or my child needs help, or, you know, since I don't have a whole lot of experience, their next step after they reach out to me is I direct them to you.
Yeah. Do you want to share some things about Brian and Amanda?
Brian and I were 3 weeks apart. He was 3 weeks older than me, and then, you know, so my whole life he was there. And he became my person. You know, I didn't cross the street without saying Brian or any cars coming. You know, he was my absolute best friend in the whole world. And somehow he managed to get addicted to heroin and me not even know it. He stopped letting me come in the house. And I'm thinking maybe him and his wife are fighting, so let's hang out outside. You know, why do you look bad? Like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, I know, I need a haircut. And in my head, I'm going, you know, I believe you. You need a haircut. Get a haircut. That will help. And, you know, I was just completely blindsided by the death of heroin. I hate to say it, but I've known since we were kids that he'd done drugs. But the thought that he would turn to that never would have crossed my mind. You know, to say he had a drug problem, no, he knew what he was doing. But the reality is no one knows what they're doing when it comes to doing drugs.
Right.
And it was too late before I realized, you know, then, you know, after he was gone, I was like, oh, I should have noticed this and that and this, and now I'm paying attention for other people. My daughter's dad hasn't seen my 5-year-old in so long because he's out there choosing a needle over our beautiful baby girl. Mm-hmm. And I can't explain it to her because in her mind, oh, Daddy's great, you know. But I'm like, well, you know, maybe someday. But I guess.
Right. And you just have to keep hope with it. You've learned, you're starting to, well, you have kind of learned about addiction as you've been moving forward. I know when I met you, you and him were still together, I believe.
Yeah. I put up with a lot of stuff, and it took a string and a cup of water and a spoon in my bathroom for me to say, okay, no. Now that it's happening in the house, absolutely not.
Right.
And that was enough. Luckily, you know, I was done, and my kids did not deserve to be around it at all, you know, so.
Well, what do you do when it comes to him so he doesn't see your daughter?
He knows that if he wants to see her, he's attempted like a few months ago, but I've demanded a drug test, and he knows that he couldn't get somebody else to pee for him. I would dump it out and make him do it again, you know, so he knows that I know all of his tricks. We were together for 6 years when he was on parole, having other people do it for him and stuff, so he knows that I would know that it was his, and he would have to pass, and, you know, he's not going to pass, so he stopped trying.
So you're holding him accountable. I know we talked in an earlier show about accountability. How do you feel like that you've learned about accountability?
I don't want to sound like, I guess harsh would be the word, but at the end of the day, he's an adult and he has a daughter, and if he said, Heather, I want to come clean, you know, I want to get clean, what do? I would drop everything and direct him wherever we needed to go to get him clean for my daughter's sake. And so he knows he has options. So choosing, like you said earlier, they're homeless, and, you know, he doesn't have anything. And I'm over here going, why? I mean, to me, it just doesn't make sense. And he's going to be accountable for those actions and what he's doing to my daughter, because at the end of the day, I'm watching her heartbreak, not him. Right. And as a mother, you know, you protect your children, you know.
Right. Well, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me today because I'm sober and I've been in recovery for a while now. To choose that lifestyle, I wouldn't choose it today. I'm not immune to relapse, but it would take a lot for me to relapse.
Right.
If that makes any sense, because I don't want that life again. You know, living from place to place, not having. I lost all 3 of my kids, you know, and so I can relate. But there is hope. You know, there definitely is hope. But it sounds like you've learned how to hold him accountable and protect your family, even though you're kind of loving him from a distance, and when he's ready, you'll be there to help him.
Absolutely. I've done the, you know, well, I'll believe this and I'll believe that and I'll look the other way. And I remember one time he said somebody was coming over, but they couldn't find our house. We live right in town. What do you mean you have to walk up the alley and go, and, you know, no. Like, are you kidding me? But I used to just let all that stuff go, and just, you know, I thought, well, if he's here, he's not going to be as bad, you know, but then I knew exactly what he did in the bathroom, and forget it. Right. And it was time for us to be out of that situation, you know. It was so bad.
Yeah, and it gets bad. It gets worse the longer that you stay in it, and eventually, without you setting those boundaries and protecting your family, you could be homeless too.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He could have, who knows how many times we could have been in the car, and I think about if we'd have got pulled over and they would have wanted to search because of him, and then him have something, and it been my car,
right?
You know, like, I definitely dodged a bullet there for sure.
Right. Well, do you want to share some things about Brian and Amanda? Just one of the biggest things that we like to show, especially on the show, is someone that's passed away. We don't want to hear that you'll see when somebody passes away, male or female, what their age is and that they passed away. And sometimes it will say overdose. I think they're getting a little bit better of saying that, but we want to know who the person was, because they were somebody. We don't hear enough about the good in the person instead of, oh, another number, another fatality.
Yeah, well, ironically, my cousin Brian being an addict himself and me living with one, you know, there were so many times where I would call or text him and I'd be like, you know, this just happened. I need you. and he would come and he would fix it, you know, and he would make whatever, if I needed, you know, my daughter's dad to leave, for instance, he would make sure that that happened. Or if I needed help moving this or moving that, he always came. And, you know, you just don't think about that. You know, when you think about an addict who's in active addiction, you don't think that they're doing nice things for other people. Right. That's just not what people think. And, you know, he absolutely was. And Amanda was such a sweet woman. I remember on their wedding day, me and my cousin were standing up against the counter, and she's over there talking to her friend, and he elbows me, and he's like, "Isn't she beautiful?" And I was just like, "Oh, Brian, yes, she is. You did good," you know. And I didn't have a whole lot of money one year for her birthday, and I knew she liked M&Ms. And I just bought her this big bag of M&Ms. And for 4 months, she's, "Thank you so much for those M&Ms. They were so good." And I was like, "You don't have to keep thanking me," you know. Like, that was the least I could do, really. They were just good, fun people. And I just hate, you know, that they're not here, because Brian came to my son's baseball games. He might have been high, I don't know, but he still came. And to me, that means everything. You know, like, you still kept priorities together. I mean, he maintained his job for 10 years at Anchor, and not too many addicts do that. You know, and he was buying a house, and I mean, I guess they say functioning addict or whatever, and he was just seriously one of the best people I've ever known in my whole life. And then all of a sudden, gone, to me, for no reason. Like, I feel like overdose is no reason death, you know, like, that's 100% preventable. And not just the addict needs to be accountable, but us non-addicts need to be more accountable too. You know, what are we not doing right that's causing, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have all the answers, but I just know if I could do so much more, I would do it. If I had the means, I would do it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody has all the right answers. Right. But
or we'd fix it.
If we can get more people to still love an addict, even though, and it sounds like you still love the person that struggles in your life, but you're still going to protect yourself and your kids. And there's a difference. We can protect ourselves, but some people forget and they hate the addict, and they'll never amount to nothing, and you're worthless, and so if we can change that, I think that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I hate so many things that he's done, but before, you know, he couldn't have always been like that, or why would I have stuck around for 6 years, you know? I mean, he absolutely broke what we had, but if he wants to get his life right and be a dad, then, you know, that would be amazing. I don't get my daughter's hopes up or any kind of thing like that, but, you know, he knows. I mean, he was there helping me hang up Heroin Kills flyers and pass out bracelets, so he knows that he just has to say, "Help me," and I would be there.
Right.
And I would send him to you.
Yeah. Well, there's something that you've done for Unchained Praises Ministry, and that's having a poker run, which is a bike ride. And so share with us and to the viewers what made you want to do that, and then you're scheduling another one next year, and just your heart about helping the ministry.
Well, like I was saying before, I just don't feel like I don't have the knowledge or, you know, the ability to do everything I want to do, you know. I'm taking care of the kids and going to work and all of that stuff. So for me, one day of having a poker run and bands play and raising money so that way I can help you help others, then that makes me feel good, you know. Like, I can't help but to want to do something, and it feels like, you know, that's about the best that we can do right now. But next year we want to have one. Sadly, since Brian and Amanda, I've lost so many more friends, and I just kind of want to remember everybody and, you know, just try to have like a big thing and, you know, raise as much money as we can so that way you can get them to detox and get them to rehab, because that is, you know, a crucial part, I think. I don't think they should have to do it on their own. I've got a friend who was dead set on giving up and wanted to die. I think I even sent you those messages from him, and he is currently in a rehab in Florida. He's got 18 days left. He called me the other day, and he's happy again. You know, he feels good. He's talking about how he's gaining so much weight. And I'm like, no, that's awesome, because you were so skinny. You know, and I just want people to be able to go to rehab if they can't afford to go on their own. So.
Yeah. And we connect with people that help with facilities. But the biggest thing is we try to find free facilities, because we don't have money.
Right.
You know, we haven't had a job, and if you go into a facility that it takes money to be in that facility, sometimes it's detrimental to somebody's recovery to get a job that early on too.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that it may be little to you, but it's really not little, because it's something big. If we could get other people to do, it sounds to me like you're saying, this is what I can do. You know, and if we can get other people to do what they can do and come alongside of us, then it makes it's a team effort. That's
Absolutely.
really what it is a team effort.
Yeah, I'm so tired of the fight, is addiction a disease or a choice? I mean, what's it matter? You know, people are dying, and grandparents are raising kids they shouldn't have to be raising. It doesn't matter. We all need to work together to figure it out.
I think that you do hear it's a disease or it's a choice, but I look at it as a demon.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the demon of addiction, because of what it does. I mean, it consumes our lives, it destroys our families, and it takes souls.
Absolutely.
I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to read a poem called Heroin. And I know your loved one passed away from heroin overdose, and it's changing to fentanyl, you know, a lot now, but things are being laced more. But I'm going to read a poem called Heroin. Let me tell you a story about heroin, your so-called friend. At the beginning, he will pretend to love you until the end. He will make you feel better, baby you at first, send endorphins through your body, and make you feel as if nothing could ever hurt. As life starts to happen, that may overwhelm you some days, he will quickly pick up the pieces and numb all of your pain. Soon you want to keep believing that your problems are truly gone, so you keep calling him back. Soon he is in your arm. When money starts to fade, he quickly turns his back. He's like an abusive relationship that does not know how to relax. You soon miss him and call him back. You tell him you've broken the law and have money. Will he take you back? Breaking the law comes easier over time. He helps you deal with the pain that is constantly on your mind. You start to degrade yourself to keep him close. Little do you know he would be gone if you were broke. All these new emotions you have never had before. You have to keep breaking the law to feel him even more. The pain when he is gone is so severe through the day. You call him back up and ask him to stay. So many people you hurt in your path. If you would just let him go, family would come back. Kids lose parents, parents lose kids. The world starts to wonder, will this ever end? If you stay with him, death is your only end. So you think about something called recovery to end this deadly sin. You humble yourself, even though it's hard. First step is the hardest, at least that's what you've heard. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. Soon you feel new emotions and realize recovery can be fun. You feel yourself getting stronger, one day at a time. You realize you're on what people call a recovery high. Life still happens, emotions still come. Things are better than being with him. I have finally found true fun. He was only trying to kill me and ruin my life, but I found a new man. That's recovery, and he's fine. And I wrote that. Actually, it's more the heroine story instead of a poem because it's so long. And I can't. I've tried to recite it, but it's so long, so
Right.
I forget some of it. But the more that we've talked earlier, I was flipping through the pages because I felt like I should read that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very powerful.
Now, you usually share a poem. Did you bring that with you today? I should have probably told you to bring it.
Yeah. I don't have them memorized, and they're on my phone. I mean, it's over there, but.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you want to share some? Let's share some more about them. What's some childhood things that you can remember about him? Because it sounds like you guys kind of grew up together all the time together.
Oh, yeah. We had a circle driveway, and my parents lived here, and his dad lived here. So we literally were just across the driveway. And, you know, every day after school, we'd go back in the woods, you know, we'd cross the river, you know, normal kid stuff. We would catch crawdads, cut their heads off, and then go fishing. You know, that's what we would do. We had llamas back then, and, you know, we would try to chase them or scare them because they didn't like people or stuff. I mean, we were just constantly outside playing and having fun. And a long, long time ago, Amanda was even in the picture. We were all just friends, and we drove all over Indiana ghost hunting. There's a whole website that tells you where you can go, and we're like 16, and we're, you know, go to this place and find this ghost and do this. And we all went to White Castle. I mean, we just, you know, we're trying to get into trouble, but not like bad trouble, you know, like it was fun stuff.
Right.
And of course, my absolute best memories are with Brian, you know, and even as an adult, every time I gave birth, he came. Every time something happened, he came. And even like right now, it's hard because our grandma's in the hospital, and who would come with me to the hospital?
Right.
He would. You know, I don't have any of the other cousins coming with me and stuff, but I don't know. Life is just, it's different without them. And no matter what, I remember one time he was doing stuff he shouldn't have been doing, and I always said, I'd rather you be alive than be my friend. And so I told his parents, you know, and you're dead to me, blah, 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 and stuff. He was so mad. Well, every day I was blowing up his phone, you know, are you still mad? Are you still mad? Finally, I'd start beating on his door. Are you still mad? Are you still mad? And finally, he's coming, you know, like, even though, like, he felt like I betrayed him for telling on him. You know, he's an adult and I'm telling. But, you know, and I still stand by that. If I'd have known what he was doing, I would not have kept my mouth shut. He couldn't, you know, I would have told. You know, I would have told his parents, we have to save him. And I wouldn't have regretted it because we could, you know, he could have still been here. You know, like, I feel like I'm paying the ultimate price for his bad decision. Right. And that's not fair.
Well, and we miss those who have gone on because of overdose. And I definitely know how you feel because I've experienced it myself. Maybe a little bit different because I'm a recovering addict also, and you're kind of on the other side of that. You still tried to advocate in the community as much as you can today. Share some of the things that you do to try to help somebody if you know that they're struggling.
Yeah, I just messaged a girl the other day who's trying to detox herself at home, and you know, I'm telling her, look, I don't think you should be doing this at home, first of all. But if you're going to, then, you know, take that flu medicine, take the Epsom salt baths. You know, do you need me to bring you some? Because I will. You know, and luckily she had all that and her parents are helping. But, you know, if somebody needs something, don't ask me for money. I'm not, you know, going to give you money. But if you need flu medicine or, you know, like anything, or a phone number of where to go or a treatment facility or anything, I'll Google it for you. You know, if you can't find it, I'll find it, or I'm calling you and you're going to help me find it for them. You know, I won't ever turn my back on them. I mean, I'll be mad and I'll be disappointed, and my heart hurts so bad all the time, and there's so many nights when I don't sleep, you know, because of our dear friend. I will stay up late just messaging, are you okay? You know, did you use today? You know, just If he says no, then I can hopefully sleep that night.
Right.
It's very overwhelming.
It is, and sadly, again, we don't have all the answers, but just to encourage somebody and let them know that you're not going to stop caring about them. You know, you're not going to give up.
Yeah, you can't get rid of me.
and it is aggravating, like from if I take myself back to in active addiction and somebody's constantly, it almost feels like we're being hounded.
Yeah.
It is aggravating, but I can remember thinking, do they really care? You know? So I'm going to encourage you not to give up and to keep doing what you're doing, because eventually this person, we hope, will see the light. If you can say something to a person struggling out there tonight that may be watching, what could you say to them?
Honestly, the only thing that I would, say would be, you're definitely not alone, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because, people will help you. And life would be so much better on the recovery side for not just you, but your family.
And what could you say to a family member of an addict that may be enabling somebody?
Stop. Stop enabling. Love them, but don't enable. Feed them, but that's about it. Make sure they're eating.
Yeah. No money.
No money.
No
ever.
car to drive just because.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Well, we want to thank you for being on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
If there's anything else, we got a couple minutes left. Do you want to share anything else about Brian?
He's already mad that I'm doing this. Like, I know he would be. Just because they were addicts, it doesn't mean that they were bad people. They never got to where they were stealing or doing anything like that. Like I said, he had a job up until a few months before they died. And whenever I needed him, he was always there. Up until the very end, he was there. And I'm forever grateful for that.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Recovery. And if you have a family member, or if you are struggling yourself, we encourage you to call the number on the screen. Just know that life does not have to end with you being in active addiction. You can change your life. You can take the steps necessary to reach out to someone that will listen to you. We will connect you and we will motivate you into recovery. We thank Heather again for taking the time to come and be on the show and share her loved one's memory. If you have someone that has passed away from overdose, we want to encourage you not to give up on their memory and share the person that they were. Don't let the world say that they passed away and that's the last thing that you hear. But we want to encourage you to share their memory, to share who they are, and to not give up on other addicts. Sometimes saying too little is not enough, but sometimes saying too much is too much. We encourage you to encourage those around you. We want to thank you again for joining us on Let's Talk Recovery. Don't forget the number on the screen. If you need us, we're here, and God bless you.